That doesn't mean at 70 you're going to be the same person you were at 20, but at 70 you can either grow and become the greatest 70-year-old dadlete you can be, or you're dying and becoming a withered old man. There's always a growing or dying rate that is congruent with the stage of life that you're at. What strategy, approach, or mindset is needed to level up the required physical effort to achieve a higher heart rate and therefore continue improving fitness? Higher heart rate, say that 5 times really quick. I feel my body just can't or won't go harder and I'm plateauing. I get that, man. I've trained for 22 years now. 24 years. Bloody goes quick, doesn't it? Since I was an early teenager. Plateauing generally comes down in terms of physical exercise and whatnot to 3 things. Your recovery, so what you're doing away from the gym, so sleep and your night routines, morning routines, and your rejuvenation there. Your nutrition, the fuel and how you're fueling your body. But the third one, which we'll keep reasonably specific for this, is your training stimulus. So there's usually mechanical load, right? And then there's mechanical tension. So how much am I lifting? How long am I lifting it for? And then metabolic stress. And then between those 3, it's quite a basic thing, and there's probably different terms for them, but it's the same thing, right? Like, how heavy am I lifting? How long am I lifting for? And what's the rest period between the lifts, which is your metabolic stress. So you could be doing 5 sets of 10 push-ups with a 10-second rest. You could do 5 sets of 5 push-ups with a 20-kilo plate on your back and 3 minutes rest. Completely different. The metabolic load, the metabolic tension, time under tension is 5 reps instead of 10. The metabolic load, you've got a 20-kilo plate instead of your own body weight. The mechanical load, the metabolic stress, which is the time working, which correlates to your heart rate for sure, is I've got a 3-minute rest instead of 10-second rest. So it adjusts and changes. I'd say for you and for anyone, it's about creating a different stimulus. At this stage right now, I'm building towards doing 500 pull-ups, 500 strict pull-ups. I weighed myself the other day. The scales have to be wrong. Like I refuse to believe it. It says I'm 118 kilos. I'm in pretty good shape. I've never been that weight in my life. But either way, that's a lot of weight to move, man. But in terms of the training and the pull-ups, my pull-ups are very, very strong. I did 250 the other week in just under an hour. My goal is to do 500 in under 2 hours. That's pretty solid for my size, my weight, and my height. The way that I got there was not just doing pull-ups. It was creating different stimulus with weighted pull-ups, with hangs, with different pulling work, cables, pulleys, dumbbells, barbells, all sorts of different things. So the reason why you plateau is there is no longer a stimulus. And I would say that can couple in with your recovery in your nutrition and your sleep. So it probably is 2 things, right? Your recovery and fueling, which is your nutrition and sleep, and then your training and performance. So the strategy approach, the mindset is, especially if you're someone who hasn't done a lot of training, the mindset is this is just part of your identity and part of the journey. That's got to be your mindset. Everyone plateaus, everyone has sticking points, everyone stops progressing at some stage. Even if you progress and you have a purposeful deload, which means you taper down for a period of time, that's stopping. And it's like our cells, it's like our mindset, and it's like our bodies. We're either growing or dying. That doesn't mean at 70 you're going to be the same person you were at 20, but at 70 you can either grow and become the greatest 70-year-old dadlete you can be, or you're dying and becoming a withered old man. There's always a growing or dying rate that is congruent with the stage of life that you're at. It's part of the journey. That's the mentality and mindset. I'm an athlete for life. The good, the bad, and the ugly. The strategy and approach is understanding that you need to create a different stimulus and vary up your training and vary up the load. Sometimes if you want to get your heart rate up, and let's remove that a little bit, not that I'm saying you're wrong in your question, but if you want to create and improve your performance, sometimes you will train 5 days a week. Other times you shouldn't. You should train twice a week for a month and give your body just a good chance to really rejuvenate. A lot of men get stuck losing weight for that reason. They go calorie, low calorie, thyroid's not firing the way it should be, and they're like a bear hibernating, and they're not going to burn any fat. So varying up the stimulus of the volume of training, the type of training, whether it's cardio-based conditioning, and then inside of that, whether it's doing time on, time off, different tempos, there are some real tactical things you can adjust, which is probably another day for another question. But in terms of the strategy and approach, it will be finding what they are and applying them to create a different stimulus for the muscles to fire them differently, which is then going to, even in a downward phase, if you cut your training back a little bit, it's going to then increase and improve the adaptation, because that's all it is. Like, it's your adaptation to the environment. That's simple. If you lift heavy things long enough, keeping it really simple, your body must adapt to survive to the environment and the stimulus it's being exposed to. That's it. So your body, to some capacity, will get stronger. Is it the greatest way to get strong? Well, no, you can do some 5s, some 3s, some percentage work, some different movements, and all of this can come together with all different stimulus for that one bench press or for that one back squat. So very stimulus, but understanding that at the end of the day, it's very simple and fundamental, where the stress, the environment and stimulus you're exposing your body to will create the adaptation needed. When that's done in congruency with nutrition and recovery, you won't get injured and the plateau won't last, and you'll start to move forward again.